the book that I also had. I want to show you one that is similar to a problem you have on your homework. Okay, how many people have looked at your, there's another quicker question. How many people have looked at your homework this is correct? Okay. All right, so you noticed that I had a couple of changes of heart. One is I really didn't, because that was within the first 20 minutes of posting it, I extended the time that you're allowed for this homework, so take a look at that. Just thinking about the schedules and Thanksgiving, and, I decided this one should have a little bit more time. Not a whole lot more, but a little bit more time. And the second thing is that, in the original version, I put a problem on it, but later I decided it was too hard, and so I did a substitution of problems. So that happened within, a half a day of the first posting. So probably most of you never looked at the first version, but in case you did look at it quickly, and you'll see a discussion there that I changed one of the problems. Look again. Okay, so one of the problems that I put on in the second round is the following. This is actually a question out of the book. I think it's 5.9. Which is, so look at the following language, and I don't remember what it's called. We'll just make up a name for it. A reverse. Okay, so I don't know whether that's right. It's probably not. M says that M accepts a lot of questions. I'm sure you have many questions. We have students and our staff with a roving microphone. I'm going to ask a first question, though. So, Dr. Solomon, you left it hanging. How do you develop a list? How do you narrow the list? How do you determine which would be the preferred providers in the organization? Sort of one question, which one preferred? Yeah, I'm sorry.
So the proposed rule came out, and it became clear that the entity itself is defined by the participating physician. So whoever goes on that participating list is now going to count towards that 25% of attributed beneficiaries that you need to hit. We thought it was going to be by the clinician, and instead they thought if you aggregate together, there are going to be some doctors who are just not going to quite have enough. They're going to be some that have a bunch, but if you put them all together, you have to hit the metrics. That seems more fair, not unreasonable. But if we realized that on the one hand we wanted to be very collaborative with our specialists in the community, but the more specialists in the community that we put on our participating list, they would be taking care of patients that would be referred to them by external entities that weren't in the next generation ACO, and those patients wouldn't count. And suddenly we realized, while we're really nice and we put them on our list, we all may not qualify for being an APM. So we need to eliminate all of them. And then came the certified health record. Not everybody's on the electronic record, so we're not going to put you guys on the list. And so we dramatically curtailed who was on our participating list this year with the expectation that there's going to be a shrinkage in the number of distributed beneficiaries. I didn't tell you, actually, the first year we were worried about hitting 10,000. We budgeted for 12,000 and got a preliminary number that we were going to get 18,000, and at the end of last year we were told we had 25,000 aligned beneficiaries. So we budgeted for 12 at 25. With this change, we expect that probably to come down closer to about 12,000, 14,000 aligned beneficiaries, closer to where we want to be. The other thing, by having the alignment through physicians that were not in our organization, it takes away that connection that you have to those patients. So taking care of patients nowadays is a team sport. It's not just you come in, the doctor takes care of you, knows everything, and then you leave. There's a whole lot of stuff that needs to get done, and it really doesn't need to be done by the physician or the clinician, the practitioner. And to have that team do outreach when the person that patient thinks of as a primary care provider is not related to your group, how do you do that? And it really would inhibit you. So we realized the physicians on our participating list really need to be the physicians in our medical group and in our IPA. And we have just a handful of physicians that are not in our medical group or IPA that we left on the participating list just because of the relationship that we have with them. But that's where we're going to put them with that list.
All right. Thanks. Thank you. Question over here, and then someone's got the microphone.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ware at the T-shirt facility. Another question for you about your strategy and the system. I'm personally deeply concerned about the growing Medicare population because I aspire to be part of those folks. What I see is that a lot of small groups that do take care of a lot of people, especially in rural areas in other counties that are not so largest, San Diego, San Francisco, LA-based counties, there's going to be a big washout because budget is lost. What I see with Memorial is that it aggressively went out after the Affordable Care Act was passed, and it created a medical group model and created an IPA model. And at the 900-bed hospital in its own right, the main hospital, and with the other hospital, certainly it has an invested interest in having a sufficient medical staff to provide care for the size of the institution it becomes. What are you going to do when all of those people are not able to access the size of systems? What's the alternative strategy that the system has focused on the rest of the medical community that we all are going to need?
So I can focus on the communities that we cover. So the areas that are more rural, because for the most part, the areas that our organization covers wouldn't fall into rural. You see across the country a lot of large systems absorbing physician practices with the goal of moving that outpatient work into the hospital so they can make as much money in the last few years as they can. And even in places like Southern California, you still see that happening. It's against what is being proposed, it's against where everything else is going, but that is still what we see a lot. Do more for as many patients in the hospital as you can. That has not been the focus for Memorial Care. So one of the things I noted in our foundation, we put in freestanding imaging centers, and we've actually redirected a lot of imaging out of the hospital into the freestanding centers. You can charge 150 to up to 500% more for the same study, same quality done in the hospital. Instead of in the freestanding center, we made that choice to move it out. Our ambulatory surgery centers, same thing, put them in the foundation, separate it out, and are actively trying to move cases out of the hospital into the ambulatory centers. Again, it's a loss to the hospital, but it's the right thing to do. That is really where those outpatient cases should be going. And we started to see that on the Medicare side because you can't yet, but on the commercial side, patients getting total knee replacements, total hip replacements. Those used to stay in the hospital for a few days. We're doing them in an ambulatory surgery center. They're out within a day, and they're home again. Much better for the patient, much more cost effective. So Memorial Care, as an approach for the organization, has been what can we do to improve the quality that we provide, the experience of the patient, and to reduce the costs. So that triple really has been the goal of what Memorial Care has been doing.
And just respectfully, I'm trying to provide, I think I didn't express this quite well enough. It boils down to this. When you're a major system, and you have to support the community, and it's a nonprofit, there's a certain community responsibility. My question is, I understand the drive towards efficiency in delivery services, one outpatient model. I'm a big local one, you myself, I've read the hotspot article multiple times, part of my course curriculum. But what I've asked is what is the strategy of the system, if you know, and I realize this isn't your direct responsibility, but as you brought into the discussion the whole system, what is the responsibility, what is the strategy of the system to actually support that community, that the greater populace, that you enforce population management, is certainly what you need?
Yeah, and I don't know if I can necessarily answer the question completely. There are a lot of things that we do for community. One of the more needy communities that we have is the Long Beach area, and we do have offices like some primary care offices in Long Beach that cater to the Medicaid population, the needy population. That's where they get their care. A lot of them get it through our clinics in the Long Beach area. But I cannot at this point just elaborate on anything greater to the more rural communities that we're going to provide.
Please, Bill, thanks.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The state is working through the counseling grant for the Innovation Center on accountable communities for health models. And this idea of, which I think is what you're getting at your question, if I understand correctly. I think the way you're posing it, what do the systems do to generate this greater community organization for delivery of healthcare and integration services? The state is actually working on models that they're piloting in a few locations under the CalSIN grant to develop this kind of an approach, which of course we pulled out of the Hotspotters article and even going back to the cost conundrum as well, in places like Rangers, Colorado. So that kind of work is underway. Primitive at this stage. Sustainable models haven't been figured out, but there is an effort to do it, which I think is great. Is that really getting at what your question? Yeah, there is a plan. I mean, there is activity going on to do that, to address that issue.
The problem really is, though, is that it's very expensive to live in California. When we move to the next generation of physicians and other providers that are affiliated with those physicians, we're going to wipe out another of the margins with an aging growing population. It's very worrisome. And what I see is that frankly, the Obama administration, I'm not an important caricature, I'm actually, generally speaking, think that it's a necessary piece of legislation that of course needs to be updated and upgraded somewhat. That said, it seems to me that we have a hospital-centric system. We have a system where the large facilities have built large programs. It's not really correct that in some places they take the oxygen out of the area. That's very true, Dr. Lee, very true. So really the question is, what are our systems doing? Because the people that are going to be working there will not be able to handle the volume of patients, and we will have to schedule, Dr. Lee, somebody coming in at 2 a.m. to get their medical bill. This is a crazy thing, and it's obviously ridiculous.
Hi, I'm Jack Eagle, as the chair of the Department of Cost Management. Thank you very much for really interesting insights into how your organization is responding, but I really appreciate what we've heard on that. I'm going to talk about a little bit of background, because some people in the group don't have a deep appreciation of all moving parts in this work. I sit on the National Public Forum Committee on Water Resource Use Measures, and to kind of not believe that we've got resource use measures that are not resource use measures are very accurate. But we've got to stand best practice.